The Brian Crabtree Show on Demand is brought to you by the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. Achieve more. CobbChamber.org. The Brian Crabtree Show, live in Atlanta, afternoon starting at 4 on Biz 1190, Biz1190.com, and the Biz 1190 mobile app.
I think celebrities should basically shut their pie hole.
The Brian Crabtree Show.
Do what they do best. Act, sing, tap dance, juggle balls, and do all that kind of stuff.
The Brian Crabtree Show.
Good to have you. Welcome to the program at Brian Crabtree on Twitter, talk40.com online. The conversation and the show ultimately continues 24/7, including the highlights. We had Heath Beam on yesterday explaining the impacts to your retirement accounts, whether you own outright or indirectly GE, and the dividend cut there, the decline in that stock. You can check that out at talk40.com. Heath Beam from singularprivatewealth.com. Marietta man is accused of bilking elderly investors. At least 44 times, this investment advisor was asked about it in a bankruptcy proceeding. He invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. J. Costa Kelter, formerly known as Ignatius J. Costa III, is facing civil accusations that he bilked a 75-year-old widow, according to the AJC, diverting more than $1.4 million of that person's money for his own use. Two other retirees fell victim, the government's alleging, now losing another $400,000 to his schemes. Civil case, not the worst of his troubles. He's now facing federal criminal indictment, 16 counts of mail fraud, 5 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count of securities fraud. Listen to what he did. And I don't want to paint the picture here that this guy represents even a majority of people in the investment business or any kind of investment licensure, but there's an increasing number of people who are so arrogant and narcissists that think that they can play ultimately what's a Ponzi scheme with other people's money and get away with it. It's another form of the addictions that are plaguing our society, the addiction to buy a Bentley, a Mercedes. I don't think he bought a Lamborghini for a few $1,000s, so he must have been repairing one he had from some other sources. $21,000 in custom jewelry, a family vacation, covers his living expenses, pays off debts. There's so many people in our culture, in our society, that are losers, meaning they're just ineffective at pretty much everything. We have it in politics, both sides of the aisle. This is a bipartisan segment here. You have it in the investment world with investment advisors. You have it in the real estate business with realtors and brokerage companies. You have it in the mortgage business. God, do you have it in finance and bank? People that really have never done anything but pass a bunch of tests in school, get good enough grades to get a degree, regurgitate on an exam to get a state license or a federal license, and then all of a sudden they have a license to practice. And you get it less in, say, the legal business, although I wouldn't give lawyers a break. We had that happen with a big law firm that ultimately went under here in Atlanta not too long ago, basically running a Ponzi scheme with a trust account. So you get it, but you get it less by percentage, in my view, in the legal business because you have to go through so many more hoops to get a law degree. I wonder what would happen if we made investment advisors, real estate agents, mortgage professionals, bankers, that ultimately interact directly with the consumer, have to go through a 3 or 4 year degree program plus pass the equivalent of a bar exam to that industry in order to ever get a license to even work in these businesses. I wonder how much better it would get. I think it'd get a lot better because I think what you would weed out are the people that are too lazy mentally and too stupid. Let's just call them what they're stupid to really ever get through, have the discipline and integrity to get through a program, to earn the degree, to then be able to sit for an exam like the real estate bar, the mortgage bar, or whatever you want to call it, and then to actually pass the test using practical and ethical. See, we need more ethics in the test for people to get licensed because it's easy to remember the date that something happened. It's easy to write that on your fingers. But if it's an ethical question that requires judgment to get an investment license, to get a mortgage broker license, none of these licenses given by states have any ethical moral questions to them. Like asking people to judge what's right. Maybe it's hard because it would be hard for the geeks, pencil neck geeks who write these exams at the state level or the federal level to actually come up with these questions. But basically just saying, a client, this is how it starts. A client decides not to buy a property. There's a dispute. The earnest money's sitting in your account. 5 years later, no one's claimed the earnest money. It's past the statute of limitations. What do you do with the earnest money? A, keep it. B, return it to the person you think deserves it. Or C, send it to the state. Maybe not make it that easy because most people would say send it to the state. Or make it not even a multiple choice. Make it a fill in the blank. A lot of people, I think, would put send it to the person I think deserves it. Some would even probably admit they'd keep it. You start asking people who are getting professional licenses that are dealing with people's money those kinds of questions, and all of a sudden you'd have a bunch of people who have no judgment, no ethics, no morality out of these industries. And you wouldn't have grandma and grandpa having $1 million stolen from some scumbag in Marietta so he can buy a Bentley, fix his Lamborghini, go on a rich, expensive vacation, and live a lifestyle he has never earned, doesn't have the acumen or intelligence or IQ to obtain other than through theft. This is one of the things that makes me more angry than anything in our society.
The Brian Crabtree Show on Demand is brought to you by the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. Achieve more. CobbChamber.org. The Brian Crabtree Show, live in Atlanta, afternoon starting at 4 on Biz 1190, Biz1190.com, and the Biz 1190 mobile app.